Hey everyone, in this video I'll walk you through everything you need to know about Codex. Make sure to check the chapters. If you already know a section, you can jump ahead to the parts that interest you. At the end, I'll share my honest thoughts after 2 weeks of using Codex daily. For context, I'm running the Codex IDE extension in VS Code, but the differences from Codex CLI are pretty small. Let's dive in. For our example today, we're going to build a new feature for alldevneeds.com, a JSON to YAML converter. And by the way, there are plenty other tools that are already available in the site, so feel free to check them out. I'll put the link in the description. To install Codex CLI, head over to the official website and grab it using either npm or brew. I'll drop the link in the description. If you are using a VS Code based IDE like Cursor and Windsurf, you can install the Codex IDE extension by searching for Codex in the extensions marketplace and choosing the official one from OpenAI. Let's start with the reasoning effort. If there's one thing you should take from this video, is this. GPT-5 has 4 levels of reasoning: minimal, low, medium, and high. The higher the reasoning level, the more tokens it uses and the slower the response gets, because the model is spending more time thinking before answering. For example, when I asked to design a JSON to YAML converter using the high reasoning, it took about 7 minutes to complete, but the result was pretty solid. Here's how I use it in practice. For feature design or complex conversations, basically anything I'd normally want a senior developer to review, I go with high reasoning. Once I've got the task broken down, I switch to medium. And for small things, typos, color tweaks, minor refactors, I drop to low or even minimal. So as a rule of thumb, if you'd ask a senior developer for their eyes on it, use high. If it's something straightforward, go with medium or low. Time to talk about the basics. During the chat, you can reference specific files directly or even paste images. This works in both Codex IDE extension and Codex CLI. Just keep in mind that if you paste images of your UI, sometimes it's better to connect an MCP that can browse the web. That way, Codex has more context to solve your issue. And if you're working with the IDE extension, every time Codex makes some modifications, you'll get a chance to review the changed files. In the recent months, I've been a heavy user of Claude Code. There, you have the claude.md file that loads into every chat. It's the perfect place to keep your rules, guidelines, recurring issues, and any info you want Claude to always have in context. Codex has a similar approach with the Agents.md file. If you're using Codex CLI, you can generate this file with the init command that creates an Agents.md with starter instructions for Codex. From there, you can either write your own rules directly or ask Codex to read your existing claude.md or Cursor rules and create the matching Agents.md. The goal is to have Agents.md supported across multiple IDEs, making it a standardized way to share context, just like the MCP protocol does for integrations. Codex is not available on the free plan. You can use it with subscription plan or API usage. The Plus plan is $20 a month that gives you about 30 to 150 messages every 5 hours. If you are a heavy user, there's also a Pro plan at $200 a month. Let's talk about modes. Right now, Codex supports 3 of them. The first one is chat mode. In this mode, Codex can suggest edits or commands, but nothing happens until you approve it. The second one is agent mode, and this is the one I use. Here, Codex can read files, make edits, and run commands directly in your workspace. For me, it's been a super smooth because I always work on a separate Git branch and carefully review everything before merging. The last option is agent mode with full access. It's basically the same as agent, but with internet access and the ability to edit files outside your workspace. Honestly, I don't recommend using it. In theory, it could delete files from your computer, so please avoid this one. I'll talk about the modes at the end of this video, so stay around. Let's continue. Guys, if you are still here, liking the video will mean the world to me, and sub if you want to get more videos about Codex. One of the most important things in any LLM is the context window. GPT-5 comes with a 400k context window. If you are using the Codex CLI, you can check how much of the context is currently in use with the status command. Unfortunately, this feature isn't available yet in the Codex IDE. Now, 400k is twice the size of the regular Opus and Sonnet models, and it's great to see the direction is toward even larger context. But just because the window is big doesn't mean you should throw everything into it. Be mindful of what you add. Don't tell the model to search your entire repo. Instead, mention specific files or attach what's relevant. That way, your context stays clean and doesn't get polluted. The next one isn't directly about coding, but I think it's amazing. With the same subscription you're using for Codex, you can get access to the deep search feature on the ChatGPT side. This is super useful for heavy tasks or even when you want to scan the internet before diving into code. For example, recently I was stuck on a big integration issue. I tried Opus with Claude Code and it completely failed. Only when I switched to deep search in ChatGPT, I did find the clue that finally finally led me to the solution. Time to talk about cloud tasks. First of all, I've got to say, I'm not a big fan of background agents or cloud tasks as Codex calls them. Sure, they can be useful if you trigger them from something like a GitHub issue, but overall, I don't think the value really matches the cost. And as always, I'm not here to sell you dreams of an LLM that magically builds everything for you in the background. That said, if you want to experiment with it, you can enable Send to Cloud after connecting to Codex Web. That way, your prompt will execute directly in the cloud. So, after using Codex for the past 2 weeks, I have to say, I was honestly surprised by this framework. With the current capabilities, it's an impressive tool. Even with GPT-5, which many people complained about, performed just fine for me, I didn't feel the need to switch to Anthropic's model. But there are still a few features missing that are hard to live without, if you are already used them. The first one is around Codex Modes. Right now, you can either let your agent do whatever it wants in your workspace, or review every single change and command. There's no middleman. OpenAI really needs to add the customizable permissions so we can decide exactly what the agent is allowed to do. The second one is sub-agents. If you've seen my other videos, you know that this one was a game changer for me in Claude Code. Each sub-agent has its own context and it gave me a massive productivity boost. OpenAI, if you are watching, please develop something similar for Codex. Overall, Codex is an impressive tool, but is it actually better than Claude Code? Well, that's what we're going to find out in this video.